All right. Here we go. We're good. We're live. How we doing, everybody? Welcome in. This is The Slate. We are a DraftKings show, 5:30 Eastern. We will take you up until 6 o'clock. That's when the show ends. And we've got a lot to get to. It's a short week for everybody. We talk short week in the NFL for the teams and the players, but it's a short week for the people because we all know you have plans, whether it be Wednesday, leading into Thanksgiving here in the States, Jeff, Thanksgiving on Thursday, in case you weren't aware. And then we've got, it's a quick week. It's a fun week, though. Great week for sports. World Cup's underway, college basketball, NBA games, I think, are getting good, NHL. But yeah, we're talking football here. Brendan Glasheen, Jeff Ulrich. We are a DraftKings show. We've got odds up here from the DraftKings Sportsbook. Got the DFS contest for tonight. We'll look to the Thursday slate because that's great. 3 great games for Thursday. Also the weekend ahead. And we'll dive into all of it. And we've got YouTube, Twitch, and of course we're streaming live as well at DK Nation on Twitter. How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm doing good. Weekend's busy. There's a lot going on. There was, last golf event. There was, obviously World Cup starting, so doing some stuff for that. But just my own stuff, pretending I know lots about soccer. But yeah, man. I mean, thanks. Short week here. So yeah, I mean, just another day in the life of the NFL grind, I should say. So
yeah. So including tonight, and we're going to focus really on 4 games. The game tonight, the 3 games Thursday. Since there's a lot of interest in the Thanksgiving slate. You've got 3 favorites of a touchdown or greater when you include Niners, Bills, and Cowboys. Patriots are 3-point dogs Thursday night against the Vikings. So we'll start tonight. No Kyler Murray. That news broke this morning. Hamstring is still nagging him. He's not going to play. It was Colt McCoy last week, led the Cardinals to a 10-point win over the Rams, 27-17. Cardinals are 10-point home dogs to San Francisco, who, by the way, laid 7.5, 8 points last Sunday night to the Chargers. And as we talked about last Monday, they probably should have covered that big spread if you caught the end of the game. Didn't happen. It was close, though. Where's your lean on this game? With Colt McCoy starting against the Niners that seem to be getting right? They're healthier.
Yeah, so I know the spread is big here, and like ideally, you needed to jump on this at 8 when there was still a chance Kyler was going to start. Even if Kyler had started and this line was 7.5, 8, I think this is a game. I think the 49ers are just going to steamroll. I talked about this game a bit earlier today, and let's not forget it's in Mexico City. You've got just a tandem of athletes coming at you on the San Francisco offense. They're going to be all rested because they're all playing 60-70% of the snaps instead of 90% of snaps. You've got a Cardinals defense who's given up yardage to pretty much everyone on the outside, like wide receivers. You've got an offense that's going to be anchored by James Conner and Colt McCoy. Like I just don't think the Cardinals are going to hold up here for 4 quarters. Like I think you'll see, you could see Arizona surprise early, kind of like the Chargers did, but at some point in this game, the 49ers, the rush attack, maybe even just through the yards, the short pass game with the athletes they have, it's just going to take over. And I think it's going to happen even more so than we saw last week. Like you mentioned, the 49ers almost covered a big spread last week. They probably could have and should have. They just, they were like basically 1 yard short of doing it. I think that that's going to be the worst case scenario for this game where we were in like need of a late touchdown or something. So yeah, I see 49ers here. This just feels like a statement game for the 49ers where it's like, okay, they announced to everyone, we're an elite team. And I think people are starting to realize that, but this is the game where they get the media attention and the national focus. So yeah, give me the 49ers here. Again, loved it at 8. You can't like it as much at 10, but you also look into the trends here, Glash, and like San Francisco under Kyle Shanahan, very good on the road. I think that I closed my stat because I'm an idiot, but on the road here, I'm going to bring it up.
Go ahead.
Really quickly. Since 2019, San Francisco on the road is, oh God, I'll get it 1 sec here.
Let me try to help you.
Since 2019, San Francisco is 21-12 ATS on the road. And they're actually 10-6. They're 10-6 since 2020 against the division ATS. So this has been a good spot for San Francisco. I know this is like a neutral site game, but I think it's actually a neutral site in favor of the San Francisco 49ers. Just for the simple fact it's at altitude. They got the deeper team, and it's probably going to shine through more, help them shine through more.
Okay. Kyle Shanahan is better as a dog than he is a favorite since 2017. Cliff Kingsbury, pretty good as a dog. Again, it's not, they're the listed home team. As Jeff said, the game is in Mexico City. Point totals have been in the 40s, some mid 40s, but nothing. The game when the Rams played the Chiefs, that was a game that went in the 50s a few years back. That was a great game, if you all recall. But yeah, I mean, I look at this game tonight, and you're right. It's statement kind of game, and it's not. Look, every week is a must win in this league in the NFL, but when you have Seattle at 6-4 as well, and they're on the bye, and you can even your record with Seattle and put yourself in a tie in the division, there's urgency here, because if you lose this game, San Francisco is not in the playoffs. They would be out of the playoffs, and Washington then takes that 7 seed. So there's got to be some urgency tonight from San Francisco.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's urgency, and it's not, the thing is, like with San Francisco, I don't even know if it's urgency. It's just like they know that, you know, they've integrated, they went through the quarterback change. Now they've got integrating McCaffrey. Everyone's healthy. I don't even think it's like urgency. I think it's just that they know that they need to put it together, and that they've had 3 weeks now, and that, this isn't a spot where they need to go out and just do it. So a little bit of urgency, more just from that than anything. I think you look at the playoff picture. I mean, NFC West, like, I mean, I'm done with the Rams. The Cardinals, I don't think, are doing anything either. So yeah, the Seahawks got off to that nice start, but they're definitely, Geno Smith's playing well. I love the story, but they're not, I don't think they have the dominant pieces that the 49ers have either. So they obviously want to keep pace. It's a big game. If they can keep up with Seahawks here, I think that down the stretch, they're going to feel like they're the better team, and they probably pull away. So yeah, like I said, there's no reason for let up here. I think everything here just shouts San Francisco rolling. And realistically, if they can just not get off to a poor start like they did in the last game, that's probably going to happen. So
yeah, that game they played against the Chargers, they went down early, as we know, and they did control their win against the Rams. They've won their last 2. They do have a win against Seattle in week 2, so that would put them in front in the division with that head-to-head win. Right. They meet again later in the year, Monday night. Yeah. The Seahawks and the Niners.
The game where Trey Lance went down.
Yes. So DeAndre Hopkins will go. He was officially ruled to play. He was on the injury report. So he will go, and he's clearly a factor. If Kyler, how much of an impact, Colt McCoy over Kyler, does this change the outlook of the game if you want to talk DFS? Because if you think the Niners are going to control the game, that must mean the Cardinals there is some value in taking Cardinals receivers potentially in a DFS situation.
Yeah, I think that, like, for DFS, you can be looking at like potentially some like 5-1 stacks with the 49ers. I mean, I think that's definitely doable. I think Rondale Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, the most likely on the Cardinals to be the guy that you want to come back with. I think Rondale Moore even has some captain viability tonight, just because of the targeting that he got with Colt McCoy in that last game. Mm-hmm. Again, Colt McCoy isn't a guy who's going to like try and chuck it downfield. He's going to try and be methodical about it. Rondale Moore is the slot receiver. He's very good after the catch. McCoy knows this. He's going to try and make use of that. I mean, and then you look at the setup, like the one area where San Francisco allows a lot of points is the wide receiver position. Over the last 4 weeks, they've allowed the third most fantasy points to the wide receiver position in the NFL. So like, I think this is a great spot for one of Moore or Hopkins, most likely, to really kind of put in a pretty solid game. And I'd lean Moore here. Like I would. Hopkins, we've seen with Murray, fine, but like, we've got some history here with Colt McCoy and Rondale Moore. They probably practice together a little bit more as well. So I like that combo, but there's really nobody else from Arizona that's like, unless you're creating some kind of contrarian stack where you think the Cardinals are going to be up in this game and Jimmy G is just so bad or something, maybe you go like the Cardinals defense and the James Conner or something. I mean, you can think about using a guy like Keontae Ingram at 2,600. I think that there's, viability in shootouts where James Conner gets like 12 carries, they pull him. Ingram handles all the workload in the fourth quarter. So I think Ingram is viable from that perspective. But again, like I wouldn't be diving into, it's not a night to go heavy on the Cardinals. Let's put it that way. I think you pick your pass catcher that you want to roll with, and you look at some cheap value paces like Ingram or Trey McBride, and you start stacking the 49ers.
Trey McBride is one of Carrion Thorne's favorite flex plays tonight. He's got an article up at DK Nation now. He also likes Brandon Ayuk, who's been a favorite target of Jimmy Garoppolo. They've been in sync. He likes McCaffrey and Hopkins as captains. It's a steep price though for Hopkins when you look at comparing to how well Moore has played, season high in yards, receptions, and targets last week.
Yeah, I don't know how much. Like if this game is out of hand, even if just like by the third quarter, I mean, how much effort is DeAndre Hopkins going to put out if whatever starts acting up again? I can't even remember it is hamstring. Hamstring starts acting up. And like what, the coaches at some point could pull the shoot here as well. And just be like, okay, just, rest up. We'll give Rondale Moore 14 more targets. So I think Hopkins has a little bit of risk. I like paying down for more and more. McCaffrey is interesting. I almost feel like he will go a little bit lower on than people think, with the lower snaps in the last game, but there's gonna be lots of opportunities here for McCaffrey to kind of break some big plays as a runner or receiver. So McCaffrey is definitely viable. He's always viable. I mean, he's not getting, 80-90% of the snaps like he did in those prime years in Carolina, but still a big play machine. You could even think about making lineups with both Eli Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey, and like just fading a lot of the passing attack, maybe adding in like Ayuk too, and hoping that Ayuk gets that like a couple big plays, maybe even pushes for 100 yards, but none of the other receivers do much. So McCaffrey's obviously viable. We talked a little bit about Jimmy Garoppolo this morning actually being a captain's candidate. It's just the offense is so spread in San Francisco. Like Ayuk's doing well. He's the primary target, but he never gets over 100 yards.
Right.
McCaffrey's splitting carries now. He could get in the end zone, but what if all the like it's all passing? What if there's 4 passing touchdowns and like McCaffrey gets one, Ayuk gets one, Kittle gets one, and it's Jimmy Garoppolo who's got all the touchdowns, and he ends up being the high scorer, and he's only 14-4. So I think Garoppolo is like, I actually agree with that argument. I think
Here's Jimmy Garoppolo.
Siri wants Jimmy Garoppolo too.
Siri wants Jimmy Garoppolo. Man, Siri, what the hell? But yeah, no, Garoppolo definitely viable.
Okay. Very good. Again, it's 10-point spread, total sitting at 43 and a half. Do you have some player props you like based on your analysis, based on the plays you like here? We haven't talked about Deebo Samuel all that much.
Siri just like scared the absolute.
It happens. It happens with my Apple Watch too. It's weird.
The props are obviously, we'll dive into them now, but so the passing props again, like I don't really have anything for the passing props. Colt McCoy is kind of going to be a mystery here. Like, his stats are kind of juiced up. I might look at the over on Colt McCoy, if anything, just the passing yards. I think you'll probably get there.
Even money.
But I like looking at the receiving props tonight, especially. I like Ayuk over 54.5 yards. Again, this Cardinals secondary has been allowing a lot of big plays of late too. I think what you've seen, Brandon Ayuk really becoming that, first look for Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think he's going to be open a lot tonight. And Ayuk, I mean, great after the catch, just like Deebo. He's out-targeted Deebo Samuel in 3 straight games. The usage is there. He's on the field a lot. I think that there's a good chance he just goes over his yardage, 54.5. So I like that quite a bit. And I like Rondale Moore in this spot. I mean, I like, those are the 2 receivers I'd really look to target. And Rondale Moore is interesting. Like his props are really up there, like 5.5 receptions, but the yardage really isn't that big either. I think people forget, like Rondale Moore is a really good, like punt returner, kick returner in college. He doesn't necessarily need 8 catches to go over 54.5 yards. He could do this in like a couple plays as well. So Moore and Ayuk, I think both those receivers in pretty good spots. Like I said, San Francisco allowing a lot of yardage to wide receivers right now. And it would not shock me if, like, more, even in a losing game where they, lose by 20, that maybe more even pushes for 100 yards in this game.
I even feel like the market correction for Colt McCoy, the 36-year-old traveling backup over Kyler, it almost helps the passing game in a game script in which San Francisco is leading and you'd have to imagine throw the football more to get back in the game. This helps. This is pro Colt McCoy from a fantasy standpoint, betting on receiving yard props or receptions. I think this helps Cardinals receivers if indeed you want to go that route tonight. That's how I look at it. Because Kyler, even in a game trailing, we know Kyler can beat defenses on his feet. He's got deception when he's out there. So I think it almost makes it clearer to make a play on a receiving prop tonight, knowing it's McCoy and not Murray.
I wish we had like an alternate line on Rondale Moore. We only get the alternate line on DeAndre Hopkins. If you go below, if you keep scrolling down there on the receiving props, but I like Brandon Ayuk at plus 220. I made this kind of my bet this morning, 75 or more yards.
He's got there in the last 4 games.
Yeah. Last 4 games. Right. So I think Ayuk is, like I said, turning into like a true wide receiver 1 here in a lot of ways. The other players are obviously all involved. It's a little risky. It's not a bet you need to make, but I still kind of like it. Again, we're always looking for a little bit bigger odds to take. And when I say it's not a bet you need to make, like I'd much rather have Rondale Moore. I think we know where the ball is going to go, but Ayuk has looked the part. He's just got to deal with so many different targets in San Francisco right now. I mean, it's just a wealth of riches. So.
Yeah, if there's something I do like about these NFC West games outside of Seattle, and sorry, Pete Carroll, you're an old man and you pride yourself about your defense, and your quarterback's been great. So you made the right call with the quarterback, deciding to send Mr. Limited to Denver and go with Geno. But what always fascinates me about McVay v. Shanahan v. Kingsbury, whatever it may be, these guys do enjoy showing off play calls and look what I can do with my offense. Like there's this young, tight haircut, young offensive coach thing that they do get off on that stuff, in my opinion. I think but that makes it challenging because their offenses are so multiple based on the pieces they have. Now it changes for Arizona when you don't have Kyler Murray, that's for sure. But for San Francisco, I think the challenge here is they're so good and they're healthy. You don't know where the ball's going to go. That's what makes it challenging. And Shanahan will scheme it up to some degree.
Yeah. And again, like we're at altitude today. And I think that the fact they have so many guys that can just come on fresh, it's just going to, I think it's just going to wear the Cardinals down and potentially like quicker than people realize. So big on San Francisco. Like I said, you can make to look a couple plays. I think with, maybe making a couple alternate line plays on some of their players here, like Ayuk, but you can go to the player parlays. You could go, you can go big on McCaffrey's rush yards. You could get McCaffrey like 125 rush yards and a touchdown for plus 1,100. There's lots of stuff you could do. Again, you don't need to do all of it. You go Ayuk, 125 receiving yards and a touchdown. Kittle, I don't hate that. Kittle, 100 yards and a touchdown. He can get there. So a lot of different ways to play it. I think that a couple of these dudes for San Francisco, it's hard for me to sit here and say, I really like this San Francisco player over the other because I mean, they're all going to be involved. They're all going to touch the ball, but I do like Ayuk the most. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's a good thing for San Fran, not good if you want to bet the game and bet props, because that's how you don't know who could beat you, and that's how good they are. I would imagine your lean here is over 43 points.
Yeah, it is actually. I've waffled back and forth about this one a little bit, but I think when you look at Arizona's pace that they've played at and just where their game logs have gone, I think the only thing you worry about is Colt McCoy so limited, and does he get so much pressure on him that like the Arizona offense is just like, vapor basically. But I think with Moore out there playing well and DeAndre Hopkins, I think they'll be able to move the ball. And I really look at this as a spot where, the 49ers could put up like 35 points. So I'm not saying they're going to. I'm just saying like it's not going to be shocking. So I don't think we're going to need that much. I think that if I was going to play an over, I actually would play the San Francisco over 26.5 team total.
Okay.
again, like, you look at last week, what did they score? 22 points, but they also had that late touchdown that they just missed.
Right.
The 49ers are on the verge here, I think, of kind of just putting together a roll. They scored 31 against another division opponent
The Rams.
in week 8.
Yep.
The Chargers put up a good fight. And the Chargers are like a solid team. I know their rush defense can sometimes get shredded, but they're a solid team. They put up a good fight. I think this is going to be more like the Rams game where, the 49ers take control, and it may even get uglier than that, So, and with Arizona's pace of play, yeah, I think 43.5. I think it's 43.5 feels like we're still kind of just doubting the 49ers and like, oh yeah, this is a slower paced team. Their offense is 2 hit or miss. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. Whereas this may actually be like a juggernaut here that we're about to see. So yeah, I think it's just doubting the 49ers too much at 43.5 or 43. It's been fluctuating. So
Yep, 43 right now. At the DK Sportsbook, the Niners this season are 3-6 to the over. Arizona 5-4-1.
Yeah, and that's what I'm like. San Francisco has kind of been an under machine this year, but again, this is also a team that's gone through some changes, right? So I think you take that all into account, and just the way Arizona has played of late, because they've actually been over machines of late.
Yep.
I think we'll get there. So
Okay, Buffalo, Detroit, Giants, Cowboys, Patriots, Vikings, the 3 Thanksgiving games. We have about 10, 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's kind of work our way through these. You could start wherever you'd like. What game do you feel? Well, we'll go to the game that you had thoughts on before we went live, and that's Giants, Cowboys, and you love Dallas.
Yeah, man. Like I get that the line is big here. And you found a great stat right before we went on, but I don't even need stats here. This is a top 10 defense it's a top 5 defense in the Cowboys. They're top 10 in DVOA versus the pass and versus the rush. You saw what their pass rush did in the last game here, and it's just a bad circumstance for the Giants. You've got a Dallas squad who probably feels like they should have won in Green Bay. They just smoked the Vikings. Now they're coming home and they're saying like, they smell weakness with the Eagles here. We're going to put the Giants to bed here, and we're going to go after Philly. And I'm telling you, Daniel Jones may not survive this game. They lost 2 O-linemen, 2 starting O-linemen. They lost their center, they lost Wan'Dale Robinson, and they lost Adoree Jackson. The Cowboys have been scheming CeeDee Lamb open. This is going to be like a practice squad. Like it sucks if you're a Giants fan. So much hope. Their schedule turns sour here, and it starts this week. And now you got these injuries. I threw it out there on the sweat this morning. I would actually bet the Giants to miss the playoffs. They may not win a game for the rest of the year. I'm not being facetious. It's crazy to say, but I would not be shocked if the Giants lost out here starting this week. And I'm definitely on the Cowboys. The money's about even right now. I think the public's kind of, holding their nose at this big number, but this Cowboys team is good. Like they're a solid team, and they are catching the Giants at the exact right moment here. So and throw out your stat for the,
I will. Well, I was just going to look up make the playoffs or not, and I don't think the Giants are here. So maybe you have disrupted the.
Oh, weird. They were there this morning.
Oh, okay. I can't find it.
It's like plus 120 or something.
Okay.
Oh, look, you give out your stat. I'll see.
So the Cowboys. So look, the trend in the league this year, folks. The trend in the league is if you're a touchdown favorite, you're winning, but you're not covering. That's been the issue this year for touchdown favorites. They're winning games, but their record against the spread is 12-23-1. However, on Thanksgiving. And the Cowboys always play Thanksgiving. Lions always play Thanksgiving. So I think they're worthwhile, especially the Cowboys have had some continuity with the quarterback. Sort of. He's been hurt the last couple of years. But Cowboys as a touchdown or higher favorite on Thanksgiving are 9-1 straight up, 7-3 against the spread. Moreover, against this opponent, the Giants, Cowboys are 10-1 straight up, 9-2 against the number in their last 11 games. If I remember correctly, Dallas was a dog earlier in the year on Monday Night Football when they played at New York. If I remember correctly, they were a short dog. I think +1, I think was the line.
You might be right.
And they lost that game 23-16. So
yeah,
more talk about urgency and talk about must win stuff. It's must win for both teams considering where they are in the division, and the wild card race, but Dallas has to even that season series. It's a good take. I mean, Commanders home, Eagles home, at Commanders, at Vikings. They have to play at Philly, the Giants, to close the season. So that all sets up.
The weakest team they face is the Colts, and the Colts all of a sudden are starting to look like semi, good again. And Jonathan Taylor's healthy, and they could have something to play for. So, maybe they get lucky and they catch it, but like they're going to be underdogs in potentially every game except that Colts game, and maybe even the Colts game by then. Who knows? So, yeah, tough schedule coming up here. They, unfortunately for them, like the Commanders have gotten it together, or else they may have had a couple wins. I mean, those games are winnable, but like they're not what you call like
They're not slam dunks.
There's no easy games, none. The weak part of their schedule's done. So God forbid something happens to Saquon Barkley in this game. Like they would be in real trouble. But yeah, you can get the Giants actually at plus 115 to miss the playoffs.
Okay.
Still there.
What I keep visualizing, and we'll go to the other two games here in a second. I'm visualizing your point. It's Daniel Jones in a standalone game, meaning you got nothing else to watch in the NFL but this game, and you're just going to see him running for his life like a chicken with his head cut off. And Micah Parsons coming at him, that front seven of Dallas coming at him, and you're going to say to yourself, "This is why Dallas was almost a 2-score favorite. They are a 2-score favorite, 9 points." That's what I keep envisioning is Daniel Jones not having protection. And if you watch the Giants in standalone games, Sundays, that's been their problem, is protecting the quarterback, who also has his deficiencies. Never mind having protection. He's also scary as hell sometimes to watch.
Yeah. And look, like Dak Prescott's played well. Like I said, the Cowboys have figured out that like Tony Pollard is like an elite back.
Yep.
It's just like bad timing. It's basically really bad timing to play the Cowboys right now.
Can I ask this though? If the Cowboys didn't steamroll the Vikings, is this a touchdown, right? Is it like 7?
I mean, if they had won by like 1 score, like it was a closer game and they would have been like 23-20. Yeah, I think that there's a good chance this would have been like 7 points, 7.5 points. And
okay.
But at the same time, like I think some of this is
I'm trying not to react to one game. I'm trying to be, I'm trying to look at the full sample, not just the last week thought, because that's what happens when you do this. You look at the game.
I think that the Giants, like people are also like, the Giants have never really gotten that. Like it was only been in the last couple games that the Giants spreads have started to really favor them. Like I tried to fade them against the Texans, didn't work, but they actually just about blew the cover in that game because they should have not covered in that game. But Brandon Cooks had a late touchdown called back. But that game wasn't a blowout. They still let the Texans hang around. That was off a bye. They just got smoked by the Lions, who, basically the Lions are in a lot of ways like there's really not, if you look at like what their defenses do, like just yards per carry allowed, what their offenses have performed at, like the Lions are in a way just kind of like slightly more efficient offensive team than the Giants, and maybe just slightly worse on defense, but there's not much between them, and they got smoked by the Lions. So I think that the Giants, now with the injuries, this is a team you want to fade down the stretch.
Speaking of overreacting to 1 week, Detroit beats the Giants.
Yeah.
The Lions are 4-6. They have a little bit of life. They've won 2 straight, and they are getting 9 at home to Buffalo, who did cover in Detroit against the Cleveland Browns. The Bills did go home, and they're going to go back to Detroit on Wednesday. Real quick, this game and then Pats Vikings. What are where's your mind at for these 2 games?
Yeah, I mean, Dan Campbell, 8-3 covering as a home underdog last 2 seasons, 9 points. God, I mean, like it sounds so gross to like trust Jared Goff in the spot, but I think that the Lions are probably the team to go with here. You saw the Bills really have trouble just shutting down Amari Cooper and Jacoby Brissett. Yep. Of all people. This is just a team that, has been a little bit lax on defense. I think they're gettable versus the run as well. Who knows? Maybe DeAndre Swift finally like becomes healthy this week. I don't know, but I think the Lions still have some weapons. Jamal Williams, very effective red zone back. Amon-Ra St. Brown, very good at scheming him open. I think the Lions probably hang around here. I would take the points. That
place is going to be. Look, they've saved their season. They've won 3. They're 4-6. They have work to do. They've won 3 in a row. Maybe if they lose to the Giants, say they're on a losing streak coming in, and folks are like, "All right, they're out of it." That place is going to be. Ford Field is going to be fired up for this game, and they already normally are. But a little more incentive that they're kind of in it still.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
right?
I don't know. They'll be starting to believe in itself a little bit. I mean, it's a big road win, right? So. Yeah, I mean 9 points. I'll take the Lions here. I'm just trying to see where the money. I think the money, it's a little
money coming in on Detroit.
It is, but I mean, like again, I think it's just I think that the line was probably too big, like a 9.5, 10, whatever, it may have gotten up to. I mean, I think that's fine. And if this gets down to 8, or even 8.5, I mean, you'll have it at 9. So not too worried about the, where the money's coming in here. I mean, I think most people would have, it's fine. It's not like a crazy thing where it was like the Bears last week where like literally no one wanted to bet the other side. Buffalo, there'll be some late money that comes in, and I like the lines there though. The game that I just don't even know. I mean, I just don't even know with the Patriots. Like, I don't know. The team scores 3 points and then gets a walk-off punt return touchdown. Like, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what they're going to do. So I think probably this line is an overreaction. You should take the Vikings. They're still 8-2, big wins over AFC South already. AFC South, AFC East already.
Against backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, I would.
Well, no, they beat Buffalo. I should take that back.
You're right. Yeah, but I mean, you're kind of, look, the Buffalo win was like, let's be honest. I think their win probability was like less than 1%.
And they beat Skylar Thompson, who was in for Tua, and I think Zach Wilson played. But that was no sure thing against the Jets too.
No.
They had to make a run at the end, but they've been good in close games. That's for sure.
This is the one I hate the most, but
Kirk Cousins in prime time.
Oh God, yeah. Maybe we should just take the Patriots. I don't
have. If you're taking New England, you're just fading Minnesota, I think is your point. You don't know how to make an argument for New England. Their defense has been good. Judon's been a really good player. Yeah. He could be defensive player of the year, possibly. But I'm being fair. I won't be like Kaufman. I would probably take the Vikings too. Patriots stink on offense.
They stink on offense. And the Vikings rush defense has been pretty good for the most part. They kind of got embarrassed in their last game.
Right.
I think if you can just limit the Patriots rush a little bit here, I just don't know how the Patriots are going to keep up because you've got Justin Jefferson on the other side. So yeah, I lean Vikings.
And their roster is just way better. They just have more good players.
I mean, New England has some good players. It's just,
but who would you rather have a quarterback? I mean, you probably rather have Kirk Cousins. Yeah. Kirk Cousins won a shootout with Josh Allen. Mac Jones can't do that.
If the Patriots win this game, it's because that they get pressure on Kirk Cousins. It's because they basically did what the Cowboys did last week. Yep. They put Kirk Cousins on his back early. They get up and they run the ball and they control the clock. And, the Vikings they just put him down and they don't let him get up. The Patriots could do it like they could. I mean, their defense, I just don't know how good this team is yet because they really haven't really beat anyone, right? Like, okay, they beat, again, like the Jets game was like, I mean, whatever, but
it's Jets ineptitude against Belichick.
In a lot of ways,
by the way, the Jets, Robert Saleh in the last hour has not committed to Zach Wilson for this week. Just so you know, against the Bears.
Zach Wilson is potentially a huge bust. That's another conversation.
Sorry for another day. Yeah.
This is the most interesting game from a matchup perspective. Like, you have just two teams on like kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. Yep. Minnesota likes the forward-thinking offense, big wide receiver. Patriots kind of just want to, dink and dunk, not have their quarterback do much at all, and let their defense try and take control. So I think when it comes down to it, the Patriots are like a worse version of the Cowboys. Like if they get in front, they're not going to pull too far in front, and the Vikings will still be there potentially for like a backdoor win or something. And I just don't know if their defense is good enough to like just even, do what the Cowboys did. So we're going to see. Interesting game, lean Vikings, but it's definitely the game I have least opinion about right now.
Well, and look, the line reflects home field advantage. If this game was in New England, you had Kirk Cousins in the cold in Foxborough. I think,
and again, like if the Jets have the walk-off punt return, like is this line 4.5? Kind of feels like it. Like basically one play maybe has given the Patriots like the 3. So that's why I say just take the Vikings. I think probably just been the better team. I mean, in the big picture, there's no harm in ever just doing that, just siding with what you think the better team is.
The Patriots have not in their, they're 6-4 in 10 weeks. We have not seen growth on a week to week basis from this offense. It's regressing. If there were signs maybe 2 weeks ago and they just had a bad week, maybe you feel better about it, but we haven't seen it. And it's a big sample now. This is week 12. So, okay, we need to go. Good stuff, Jeff. good luck tonight. You got the Niners. You like the total over. You like the Niners team total over. And Rondale Moore could be a go-to captain for the Moose.
Hopefully. He's on all my best ball teams. I got Rondale Moore could really carry me down the stretch. I'm not going to lie. So hoping for a big game.
Daniel just told us
that anyone cares about my best ball team. But I just
last starting quarterback for the Jets to beat the Patriots in the regular season was Brett Favre, who did play for the Vikings that magical season. Okay, we got to go. The slate will be back tomorrow. We will have shows tomorrow. I don't know I think we're here Wednesday, but Adam Kaufman will be here tomorrow. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking football because it's a busy week in the NFL and maybe some NBA too, because the NBA guys tend to join on Tuesdays. Thanks to Eamon and Daniel for their work and what they do behind the scenes. For Jeff Ulrich, Brendan Glasheen, enjoy the football, American football, and, the soccer and everything. Great week of sports. You all have a great night. Good luck, and we'll catch you tomorrow. The Sweat starts at 11. Be there.